Hi, folks. Here we've got Michael Sherlock back, and look, he's our ex-policeman of only a few months, and we ask him the hard questions. But this week, Michael, there's a guy called Richard Preble who's put out a recommendation of some changes that may fix our crime wave. Now, New Zealand is going through a terrible crime wave. You agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
But what I'd like to put to you is his ideas and see if you think that they would work.
Yeah.
Now, first off, I asked the question, did giving gangs taxpayers money, do you think that's helpful?
In regards to what we're talking about, is that Jacinda gave that, was it $500,000 or was, I can't remember how much she gave. She gave a very substantial amount of money to a gang-run mental health or like men's, I think it was like a men's, I know.
What she said, Michael, that I believe is saying there's potential money here. They did give them some money initially.
Yeah.
There's potential money here if you can show you're doing good with it in the community.
Yeah.
So if you're doing rehabilitation of drugs and those sort of things, we'll pay you.
That's what it was, a rehabilitation sort of based thing, but it was run by ex-gang members or high official gang members. That
It was invitation to the gangs.
Yeah.
So what happened? This guy rang radio and said, "I'm part of one of the gangs, and we're all congregated together in Aotearoa." And the government official said, "This is your potential to make money from government. We will reward you for any actions that you take that will help our community."
Yeah, I think it's a balancing act. I think that maybe Jacinda tried to do the right thing by giving money to them to try and fix it from the inside, but they're never going to use that. Then if they're given free money, they're going to use it like anything. When you get your bloody tax refund, your tax refund from the government, what are you going to do? You're going to spend it. You're not going to, like anything. If a government gives you free money, you're going to spend it. You're not going to start looking at how you're going to spend it. It's already spent. It's already spent on what they want to spend.
So what are you saying? Was it a good idea or not? It was incentivizing them to do good in the community rather than bad.
Yeah, but I think, again, it was maybe too much trust was given in regards to, hey, we're going to try. There should have been a bit of trust given back from the other side. There was too much trust given to one side, and they've gone.
Well, there's no doubt about it. The primary source of revenue for gangs is crime, and so they are psyched up to actually deceive government and to breach our laws. So it doesn't seem to ring true that these same people will also do good for the community to make money.
No, trust me, there are very good people that have left the gangs to try and better people. Because
they're leaders.
Yeah.
The leaders of our community, the leaders of a gang. If you can control a gang, you are a pretty powerful person.
Yeah, but this is another thing. You could easily say that Jacinda's a gang leader.
Yes, and yourselves when you're a policeman.
Exactly. So, but I think the element of trust got lost in regards to the money. They gave the money in good faith, but were used. I think that's what a lot of people. We don't know what the real financial.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks. If you're out there, what Michael and I would invite you to give your comments, because we would be both interested to hear your views on this.
Yeah.
My view is, if you don't mind me saying, is I think it was a mistake. I don't think you can entrust these people, and the idea would be to actually close in for the crimes they're doing, not increasing the opportunity to have a crime, and that is deceive the government by saying, "Hey, we're doing good. Can you just give us that $1 million, please?"
Yeah. I like the element they're doing of rehabilitation, that it was attempting to rehabilitate leaving gang members and everything like that. I just don't know where and how the financials were used, if they were used in the correct way. Maybe a portion of it was used correctly, and then maybe other bits was lost. But again, I can't speculate on it. But it was a lot of money for a lot of trust.
Exactly. All right, well, let's move on. Now, the other thing, this is Richard Preble's ideas for resolving the issue. he's worried about the 501s coming in from Australia.
Yeah.
And so I think our rest of our community are very worried about it because we see the influx of gangs and the violence levels have picked up enormously since that's all happened.
Yep.
So what he's proposing, Michael, is that anyone that's deported from Australia into New Zealand is then deemed by New Zealand as a criminal. So that the fact that they've been deported is a crime in itself. So as soon as they arrive, they're criminal.
Okay.
Then the next thing he says, a judge will then decide whether you're a high-risk criminal or not, and order a lifetime supervision, supervision. And you better explain to me what that's about because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And also compulsory rehabilitation program for them to go through.
Okay. I like the second part. I don't like the first part.
What is lifetime supervision?
Supervision is pretty much probation's look. You have to do what probation tells you pretty much for life.
So you got to report through to a
probation. You got to report to probation.
A supervisor.
Pretty much. You have a supervisor for the rest of your life.
What's wrong with that, Michael?
Look, deportees, 501s, they do pretty heinous crimes to get sent back. A lot of 501s I've never been. Well, 501s I've come across have never been to New Zealand. They have New Zealand as a descent, but they're Australian.
So what's wrong with making them supervised if they're absolute terrible criminals?
If I have to again speak about the bigger picture, would be that they're human. Yet you put someone away for 30 years, but in 30 years' time they will be a completely different person.
Well, then explain to me. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but a supervision. If I had to report to someone for 30 minutes or an hour once a week, it's not exactly taxing on me.
No, it's not taxing on you, but it's taxing on the government. Two. This is you say this because you believe that it wouldn't be taxing on you to do
1 hour.
1 hour a day, but there is a lot more to it than just coming to see me for an hour a day. Probation's you cover how you work, who you work for, how you get a job. They control lots of aspects of your life under supervision.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong.
Because these guys are not darlings. These have done violent crimes, rape, pillage. They've
ag rob,
beaten
ag
up
assault.
bloody old people. They've done some nasty, nasty things.
That people 501s have done some nasty things. Yes, it's hard to again. I don't like. Yes, you could put them on supervision for a time when they come back. By all means, I get that. Mate, treating 501 as a crime itself is not. It's not criminal. Being a 501 is not criminal. You've served your time. You've done your time in Australia. You've done your time already. It's not feasibly possible to add that as a crime to bring you back, in my opinion.
Well, he's saying that's what he wants to do.
It shouldn't be a crime to be a 501. That's you've done your time. You've done the crime. You've done the time. The good old saying. You shouldn't be held up again for another time when you come back to your country. I don't like it because if you're Australian and you have New Zealand descent, you shouldn't be sent back here. You are Australian. You're not Kiwi.
Well, a judge could look at you and saying, well, actually, you've done nothing in the last 10 years or 12 years, so we're not going to give you supervised.
I think by all means, they should have.
What we're going to do is vet them out, Michael. Yeah. So if you've got that case you're talking about, well, then they just come back and become a citizen.
Yes, I think they should do the time in Australia, come back, should be vetted through a judicial system, and then you did this.
So you're agreeing with him, with Preble?
I'm agreeing with Preble, but just to a small degree. It shouldn't be a crime to come back. There should be, yes, in regards to any sort of supervision. If it's been a heinous crime, not so long ago, then yes, you should come back and be supervised, and then a judicial system chooses your length of supervision. But then the last bit about rehabilitation is always what happens. What should be the main focus of any sort of prison system, any sort of that, is rehabilitation. It's not to keep you in there because you've done a bad thing. It's to bring you out to be a better person.
Now, listen, folks, I mean, that's Michael's view, and he's been the front line. I've never met a 501, never. And you have. You've been face-on with these guys. And that's why you see human side to it as well. probably where I don't. But as someone who's isolated from it, I detest the fact that these guys have come back and done heinous crimes.
Yeah.
I think this is a great idea. But see, you are face on. You've been experienced with these people. You see them as people, not as just nasty criminals as I do.
The thing is, I've seen it from both sides, that just arresting the same person over, it's 95% of the country are law-abiding citizens. It's the 5% that you see day in, day out.
95% we got to protect. That's your
of
job.
Course, yeah, and that we do that. But you see the same 5% of people all the time. You deal with them. Is it really making a difference to this person's life if you're arresting them every other week, sending them to prison for 18 months, them coming out, and it just becomes a game of cat and mouse?
All right, let's move on. Ram raids. Now, what we've discovered with the ram raids, and you again have had personal experience of this, they're young kids, and they're children, and they should be at school. So what Richard Preble's saying here is that truancy is a problem.
Yeah.
And that discipline of having to go to school every day, it's just been ignored. We've got some schools at 50% truancy.
Yeah.
That is, to me, a shocker. Now, what he's saying is the schools are paid per their role. What we should do is pay school for the amount of students they teach. Now, to me, that's practical. That makes damn good sense.
They should be paid on attendance.
On attendance. And that may help motivate the school to follow up on
Truancy.
absences and say, because there's money in it for them. Hey, you get your kids to school, because it's illegal, isn't it, Michael? Do you know this?
Truancy.
Truancy.
I'm not clued up in these sorts of.
Well, in my day, it used to be if you didn't go to school, it was illegal unless you had a damn good excuse.
I know there's some rules of regards of you can have your kid come and go as he's sick, or you go on holiday, or stuff like this. But yeah, if you spend a long time out of school, then that's truancy, of course.
My daughter went to a decile 10 school, and she had some illness, which was ongoing. We were called into the school. Why is your child off? And we said, we give you the letters. We're just checking. I thought that was damn good.
Yeah, no, it's the schools do the right thing. They try to.
But I don't think the decile, lower deciles, which have got huge truancies,
because the thing is,
do it practically.
With decile 10, this is getting off the police matter, but I agree with what you're sort of trying to say here, is that decile 10 schools know that they're going to lose their decile 10 number if their truancy is high, their attendance is low, all this sort of stuff.
This is motivation
because
for it.
Once you're I went to a decile 10 school. If you say that you went to if you're a decile 10 school, it's more, again, a business. It's now a business because you want to keep that 10 decile ranking.
So what you're saying is what I believe you're saying, to get that rating of a decile 10 gives you lots of privileges.
Yes.
And also there's an incentive for you to do it. Yep. Now, what about the decile 2s and 1s?
But see, so decile 10
which have all the truancy problems.
Yeah, I know this, that decile 10 schools don't get a lot of funding from the government, because they're normally in wealthy, affluent areas. You've got people that are willing to fund the school externally rather than the government. That's why it's run like a business. So whereas decile 2 schools are heavily government funded.
Let's go to the question then.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good idea that the schools are paid per attendance, not just by a name on a roll?
Yes, I think there's an element of it being good, but again, it's a double-edged sword. Is that really going to change and help a decile 2 school with the amount of resources and funding they get, just because 10% of their
well, I don't know, Michael. See, I would say a lot of the parents in the lower decile schools, and look, I'm just thinking about it. I'm probably wrong. Some of the higher decile schools have huge truancy problems as well, or absentee problems. But let's go back to the bottom one. I would say the parents have no idea their children are not going to school. A lot of them probably don't.
Yeah,
and that's where the school could be alerting the parent, and they could actually say, "Hey, you get to school next time. If there's any problems with that, well, you'll be told to put the garbage out."
There should be. Let's not put a monetary value or a problem monetarily to the school. Let's say that makes it there's a harsher penalty of truancy.
Right.
That's another way to spin it, because why should the school miss out? because some
Well,
kid
they're getting
decides,
paid, but they shouldn't be paid
but
for something they don't do.
I believe a Decile 2 school needs all the help they can get.
So you'd say that no children can go to class and they should be paid
They should be paid. Well,
for
because,
teaching nobody.
yeah, but what happens if... Yeah, but what happens if that one kid is... No, I don't want...
So what it's saying is no children have to go to school and they still get paid. That's not right, is it?
No, what I'm saying is that you don't know... Just because it's a Decile 2 school, you don't know who's sitting in that classroom. You don't know. Just because the guy that 5 of them want to go and do ram raids, the next prime minister, the next, I hate using this guy's name, but the next Elon Musk, the next Steve Jobs, the next whoever is in that room. Just because these idiots want to go and do a ram raid, you're going to now cut his...
So are you agreeing with it then?
What? I'm agreeing with keeping... Don't change the pay to the school... Because
you think the school should be paid irrespective of the kid goes to school or not?
Yes, but there should be a problem in regards to them getting a truancy. Truancy should be a harsher problem. Because you don't know, why should my child now miss out because your child is playing up?
Because the schools just wipe their hands of it and they go, it's not our problem.
But it's not the school's problem.
We got money, we're happy.
Yeah, it's not the school's problem.
Whose problem is it?
It's the child's problem that they don't want to turn up to.
Parents'
problem. It's the family's problem that they don't want to turn up to school. It's not the school's problem.
So the point I'm making is the family don't know.
Yes. So that's where the problem lies. It should be a harsher truancy law rather than the school losing out.
Oh, so what you're saying is the policeman should go around knocking on those doors and saying, your child hasn't been to school for 6 weeks. And the parent goes, yes, they have. As far as I know, they go off to school every day.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Is that fair on the parent?
The parents should know about their truancy. Like I've said,
who should notify the parent if the kid doesn't go to school?
Arguably the school, but again, with the help of your school.
There's no incentive into your scheme to do it.
Well, there is an incentive because if the truancy of the child, he's going to get in lots of trouble. If he doesn't turn up to school, he's going to get into a lot more trouble than he does now. Because I know truancy, if you get done for truancy, pretty much what happens is the police pick you up, take you back to school.
So if I'm a teacher, I've got a group of some pretty disruptive kids in the corner, and they all don't come to school for 6 weeks. I'd be so happy. And I wouldn't be reporting that. I'd be going, my life's much easier. I can teach them now.
Yeah, but this is the difference between... this is a difference between knowing a lot more about teaching and schooling, is that every kid learns differently. Every kid needs a... Trust me, you can probably tell I was a loud kid. I was the joker in the class. I could tell you now, my year 13 attendance in the last 6 months was 30%.
Did your parents know that?
Yep. They knew it.
Oh, they sanctioned you being off all that time?
Yeah, because I just didn't... I was year 13. You don't have to be... in year 13, you don't have to be at school.
No.
But my truancy was shot.
And the school never said anything?
No, the school pulled me up.
Is that wrong?
No, the school pulled me up on it.
Oh, yeah.
My Decile 10 school pulled me up on it. And what happened was I went on a leave plan. The school put me onto a leave plan, and I lost all my benefits in regards to doing end of year stuff with the year 13. I lost all the benefits of being a year 13 pretty much. So that's how they treat it again, Decile 10.
All right, well, let's move on. 3 out of 3 things I've put to you, you've disagreed on every one of them with Richard.
Not disagreed on them. I've twisted them to make it arguably because what is...
well, let's go to the 4th one and see
yeah.
how you come up. There's 7 points he's made.
Yeah.
So the 4th one is visible community policing. So what he's saying here is that we see policemen in the occasional squad car going by.
Yeah.
And of course, Richard's older than me.
Yep.
But what we used to see when we were kids were the policemen walking the street. And we don't see that anymore, the visible policing. So what he's saying, there should be more visible, less patrolling in cars. Thoughts?
It's hard to be a Bobby on the beat, I've said this before, just because of the span and also how quick everything is. Crime happens too quickly nowadays. Everyone's in cars, everyone's in... it knows what they're going to do before the crime happens. Crime just doesn't spontaneously happen on the street. No one's just running along and then some guy snatches your handbag like it is in the film and then the Bobby's just round the corner and chases you. That doesn't happen. It's the reason why we're in cars is to get there faster, because the thing is they're in a car and they've got there faster. 21st century policing is you can't have a bobby on the beat. It just doesn't work. Auckland's too big. Even the city, the North Shore, West Auckland, too big. I can't run from Massey because it's all about timing as well. Even if if a big crime happens in Massey, say, and I'm in Turangi in my car with a couple of other units because we've been at another large job, and that we on a front line we've got to get from Massey to Turangi. How's that going to work?
So, Michael, I'm told that there's a shopping centre not far from here, which is now being frequented more often by. Look, they're like a young gang. They look like it. They probably may not be, but
what,
I mean,
just boys in hoodies, or
yeah. But what I'm saying, should the policeman be strolling around in there?
That's what the community constable's for. Okay, community constable is the guy that goes to your local shops. It goes to your. If we're talking about frontline policing,
they've just taken our one away. We've lost our community constable.
Yeah, community policing is a dying art. That's where your Bobby on the beat. If I'm listening to Richard Preble in this conversation or this question that he's putting forward to, is that he wants more community constables. That's what he wants. He doesn't want more frontline.
I think from my perspective, what I think he is, well, maybe he's not saying, but let me say it. I think we would like to see more patrol cars, more cops around. Look, I get your point about you can't walk around and you need to be in a crime on the other side of the district. Yeah, you do need. I get your point on that. So what I'm saying though is they should be more visible. We should be seeing more cop cars around then. We should be seeing more of it. And with that, I actually do agree with that. But the thing is that, Michael, what we recognised before, which I'm shocked at and you thought was pretty normal, was the amount of administration you poor guys had to do.
It's the paperwork. You're just telling me we just need more police officers. That's what you're just
to be seen.
Yeah, you're not telling me. The thing is,
I think what he's
saying, the paperwork's never going to change. The paperwork's never going to change. That drags cops inside to do the paperwork and the arrest times and all this sort of stuff. To get more cops seen, you just need more police officers.
And look, I think I do agree with that. If there was more cops around, seen, patrolling, listen, I think it would be a deterrent for those bad guys to say, well, let's just go and bust into that shop. Oh, there's a copper just walking down the road. No, stop, everyone. No, let's not do that bank right now. There's a copper that walking around. I think that's what he's saying. And to me, that the concept seems right to me.
High visibility, yes, I get that. I like the size of being high visibility, showing off the force. Yeah, but then also. You don't see and you don't know, because I was one myself, is how many plainclothes cops are flying about.
The word she used was invisible patrolling by car. So look, we've done this to death. Let's move on to point 5, neighbourhood support groups. Now, I've been a member of one of the 2 or 3 of those. In fact, I've led a couple. And what he's put in here, this is quite interesting to me. They should be employing people, and he's saying financially supported by the government. Retired policemen, wardens. And there is a responsibility of that particular community group. Like we've got one in our street here, which we haven't met for years, but to keep in strong contact with the schools, which I think is a damn good idea, because we work in unison together. We can actually keep an eye on our community. And because what you policemen, I believe, used to appreciate was reporting crimes early.
Neighbourhood watch.
Suspicious.
Neighbourhood watch is a good idea. I just struggle with them just because I don't like saying this, but they get a bit too big for their boots.
Oh.
They think they're all.
Some people would do that.
They get it a little bit just because they talk to us and we turn up when they call them. Or we act fastly when a neighbourhood watch someone calls. It gives them a bit of an ego boost. I don't know. I'm not big on neighbourhood. Like, cool, good on you for setting up a neighbourhood watch and doing all that sort of stuff. But
well, when I set ours up, and I think primarily this is where they see we look out for each other. So if we see someone suspicious in the street, we've got a Facebook page. So we'll just go, hey, there's somebody frolicking around this little park across the road. probably innocent, but just keep an eye out.
Yeah. See, that's fine. That by all means, that's fine. Once you start, well, again, West Auckland has its own, and they've done good for us.
Somebody walking down the street.
They've done good.
Trying the car doors.
Yeah, they've done good for us, of course, and especially they do it in the night as well. Neighbourhood Watch is a good little system. If they've got a car and they want to go out there, they can drive around and just like keep an eye out. I get it. It's another little bit of visible protection for your area or your street or something like that. It's just, again, they have no powers. They're just a civilian. If they try to start getting involved because they just want an ego hit or like they can get themselves into a world of trouble rather than doing what they should be doing by just calling us.
So what are you saying? It's a good idea?
There's an element. I hate it. I always say that element.
What he's actually saying, get some retired policemen and wardens in.
Yeah, but that's what they already are.
These are people who are educated, like retired policemen and wardens like yourself are educated.
Yeah.
You'd be very good on a neighbourhood watch. You're going to change location where you're living, so I would encourage you to get on there because you could show those people the way, the truth, and the light.
Yeah, well, watch my bloody videos. No, but I think
I agree with that.
I think it's this is again, it's an element of truth. Already, it's full of old cops. It's already full of old.
Not on our street, but certainly.
No, but like the one I know, the one from West Auckland, it's full of ex-police officers.
You and I know as good friends two policemen who are retired for years. Neither of them belong to the neighbourhood watch of their area.
No, because they don't. Well, one, let's just say that they've moved on to much bigger and better things. They don't have time for neighbourhood watch.
The good thing with it is the police provide the leader with the statistics of the community. So how many break-ins have there been? Things that the public don't know about. And they supply them to you, and you can pass them on to your people, saying, "Hey, there's an increase of break-ins in vehicles and things. Keep an eye out."
But they already do this. I don't know what he wants from it. They already
I don't
do
see
this.
this information coming from anywhere else.
Well, it's because it's not. It's just recorded to the police, and the police hold it. It doesn't. They don't tell.
Well, what I'm trying to say to you, Michael, is it's a good tip-off people. Hey, watch your cars because there's increasing activity in that regard in your area.
Yep. But
I think it's a great tip-off.
It's a great tip-off for them to go and tell. But in the end, what's that going to do?
Well, they might be able to keep an eye out and vigilant eye out. And they saw someone walking down the street trying the car doors. They would go,
"Who do you need to tell that? In the end? Who do you need to tell that information to?
The police. So they wouldn't be looking otherwise.
So why do I need to tell it to you?
Well, I wouldn't be looking otherwise.
You don't need. You don't need to be looking.
Michael's
because I'll deal with it any other time.
If you go out there and test a couple of car doors, I'd say, "Oh, he's looking for his brother's car." I'll just ignore you. But if I got a tip off, there's somebody in the hood which is actually now looking to break in.
Sorry, you just used the hood and it made me laugh.
Neighbourhood for you young fellas. Then you can get in there.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean, but it always ends up. The information should always land at the police's feet because a majority of the time.
So you don't agree with these neighbourhood watches are too big for their boots and they cause more trouble for the police than they
cause too much trouble, but they can get into too much trouble if they decide to take it too far.
You're not agreeing with too many of these. No. Okay, point 7. It's the last one. Oh no, point 6.
I do want to make another point that Richard Preble was a minister of police before I was born. So that shows how far backwards he is.
So what are you saying? All pale, stale male are bloody shocking?
Maybe he's still thinking. Maybe he might be still thinking in 1990.
Well, he was in Parliament right into the 2000s.
Yeah, but he wasn't police minister.
He kept a big eye on it, and he was very vocal about it.
But still, I wasn't born when he was police minister.
I will support this man because he was done a lot of good, and he kept when he was in opposition parties. The police ministry really focused on their job, and I thought that we did a good job in that regard.
Well, I'm not putting him down.
Point 6.
I'm just saying that maybe we're still in that era, but yeah. Anyway.
Now this one is. Let me explain first off. Richard Preble's a pale style male. He's one of my lot, but he lives in a Maori community. His partner is Maori, and he's very proud of it. Now, a lot of people don't know that, but he's always been very close to the Maori world, and I think that's excellent. Now, what he's saying here, Michael, middle-aged Maori woman, he said they should be recruited as police officers. Now, the reason being, young men who commit crimes psychologically programmed at birth to obey women
Yeah.
and who look like their mothers.
Yeah.
So he's saying a mature Maori woman
Yeah.
would be excellent in the police force for actually.
Yeah.
Oh, you agree?
I fully agree. Out of all of these, we agree on
This
one.
is a one. Yay, we got one.
Yeah, we agree on one. But no, I 100% agree with this one.
But you see, it's like me describing Richard as a pale star male. It's a negative connotation.
No, but I think this is
I
definitely...
think this is
this is definitely a 100%. You can't do a drive for one specific... Not like, okay, I need someone of this descent and this age group to join the police. I'm going to do a drive for it. That's a bit not allowed in any sort of business world, is it? Really?
I used to have a friend who ran a big business, and he used to employ Polynesians. And what he told me, when it came to discipline time, he'd pull the guy in, and the guy or girl, whatever they'd done wrong, and he'd go, "Righto, I want a word with you. And by the way, let me just, I've got someone to join us." And their father or mother would walk in. And the look of shame on that person, because they were looking pretty cocky. "Yeah, right, boss, what do you think? You're going to try one on me?" But when mum or dad walked in, he said the whole atmosphere would change.
Yeah. I think this is correct. This is 100% correct. Get some... But the problem is...
Tell me, did you practice that? Did the police practice that and bring parents in?
Yeah, yeah, for youth, yes.
You do?
Not for 25-year-old males. That doesn't work.
Oh, he did. I was going
No,
to say my
but
boss did that, and my friend did that.
But then, this is 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you had... I've worked with middle-aged women, both white and Maori, and they do a wonderful job in all aspects of policing. They really...
You like the police wardens? Did you like them? Were you around? Were they?
No, not the police wardens. No, we didn't have any of them. But
well, Richard felt that they did a damn good job, and they don't.
I will. A lady from my wing, Maori, middle-aged woman, 2 kids, great. She went up north, but I knew she was going to be a great police officer from the start. I've seen her on a lot of other ads, and from what I heard before I left, she was doing a great job up there anyway. A lady that I worked with, middle-aged mum, she was almost my mum at the job as well. I would never speak of her and praise her highly enough. I hope she goes far in the police as well.
Listen to that.
She was super good at her job.
Do you know what? I've just heard an advert on the radio recently for recruiting for police people.
Yeah.
It used Maori words to describe the job.
Yeah.
And the person had you can adopt a Maori accent. They had a Maori accent. It was obviously trying to encourage Maori people to come into the police force. And
yes.
You say that's a good idea.
It's a good idea. Like, I don't say focus on one ethnicity or something. Get a variety of people. You need just everything. Every walks of life.
Michael, be frank. Who do you, in terms of the criminal activity, we know the statistics are saying that predominantly there's a lot of Maori in there.
Yes, it is. It is.
So
it's horrible, but it is.
And our society's slowly coming around to the thought that to discipline Maori, to do anything with Maori, we need more Maori to do that.
Yep. Also,
Maori.
Good stuff in the background like Pacifica and stuff like that. Like all these cultural events and everything to make you feel like, you know what? My culture is acknowledged. My culture is accepted. What I want to be is accepted and acknowledged. All that sort of stuff is definitely where we need to go, and have the police involved with it is great. I will always say it doesn't matter. It don't have to be Māori or anything like that. I think just having middle-aged women in the police makes a good balance, because 1, they normally have children, so they understand the child aspect. 2, they've got a level head because they've had their kids screaming for 9 hours while they're trying to get some sleep, and they come into work. They're going to be level-headed.
And I would say having some racial discrimination here is probably positive. If there is a predominant amount of Asians, for example, that are playing up in our community, and we have some Asian middle-aged people come in there, maybe that's helpful.
Maybe. I think
if it's Maori, Pacifica, if it's Pākehā, let's have a sample of those societies.
I think just middle-aged women do a great job in the police. I think there needs to be more. It's just the problem is when we talk about this, middle-aged people are already stuck in a pretty well-off career with children. Are they arguably now going to put their life on the line because they want to move jobs to help?
I'm thinking children at high school. Less for a mother or whatever who might have stayed home. I mean, we know a lot of people work these days, but it may be a good opportunity. Plus, it's a respectful occupation.
It's a respectful. This is just my gripe of trying to get middle-aged people in. They're already embedded in a long career, or they've had a career. The pay of 70 grand is not going to entice someone out of a long-term career to bring them to the police, to put your life on the line. And then again, it puts you to your family. It doesn't matter if your kids are 6, 7 or 17,
There's
18.
too many New Zealanders now on minimum wage, and look, that 70,000 a week's a big lift from that.
Yep, but like I'm saying, most middle-aged people are in a career.
Yeah,
and your career might put you already
at
80, 90.
If you're actually a chief executive of a corporation getting $200,000 or $300,000, and then you have to go to 70, that doesn't make sense. I agree.
Well,
I see your point.
I remember
but there's not many of those.
Something I remember is on the first day at police college, they asked, while we're sitting there, they said, "Who's taken a pay cut to be here?" And 3/4 of the room put their hands up.
Oh.
The other quarter that put their hands up were about my age, because I was being paid minimum wage to do labouring, and now I suddenly got a massive pay rise.
We've got some questions for you, young fellow.
A lot of people in that room took a pay cut to be there.
Okay. So what are you saying this won't work because they'll have to take a pay cut to be there?
Yes. By the end of it, it's the monetary value of are they willing to take a pay cut to get there? Because, trust me, I'd love to have middle-aged women.
You reckon almost a middle-aged married woman are actually getting above the average wage?
They could be. There's nothing. What says that they can't?
Oh, I'm just saying that's probably a minority.
Yeah, maybe it is a minority, but we shouldn't be trying to push it to one spot.
No, we're all agreeing. All right, let's move to the last point. Now, what he's saying here, Richard Preble saying, bring back no-nonsense magistrates to administer quick justice.
Yep.
Arrest at night, dealt with the next day, convicted, and then sent back to work by lunchtime.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it. I know they do it in the States, but he's saying bring it back. I didn't even know we did it.
No, they still do it now. You can still be arrested. You still be arrested tomorrow. If I arrested you, so the only problem is if I arrest you on a Friday or Saturday night, there's no court. So that's a bit, you might have to spend the weekend in the cells. That's the hard part. But if I arrested you tonight and you got arrested for assault, let's say you punched me and hurt me, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you got arrested overnight. Tomorrow morning, you'll go straight to court. You'll enter a plea and you'll be out. You'll probably be, if you plead not guilty, you'll be out on bail.
Is it actually a court? Is it like a district court sort of thing?
Yeah, straight to district court.
Wow.
If you go straight there, you'll go there. It will be, do you plead guilty? Not guilty. Okay, you plead guilty. You're convicted and sentenced straight there, or you might have to come back on another day just to take the.
So you say it happens anyway?
It happens. That happens already. There is.
Why is he saying bring back no-nonsense magistrates?
You might be talking about the higher level crimes. Also, when you plead not guilty, that drags out
Is there a difference between? He's used the word magistrates here. Is that a different to a judge?
I would suggest that magistrates would be a judge. I don't think that's any difference. A magistrate and a judge. Magistrate, maybe you're thinking of, if the only thing I can maybe think he's talking about is high court, or if higher level crimes need to be sped up. I recall a
friend of mine in Taranaki, his mother she used to sign those documents, as your JP, Justice of the Peace. But she also would then be called in to do what we talked about. She would actually rule on some issues very, very quickly to get them fixed up pretty quickly. Would that be the same sort of thing?
Maybe what I'm thinking
is it another escalation above
I think
justice
he's talking
of the peace?
about I think what he's talking about is high court, maybe, in regards to stuff, in regards to things that get dragged out because they're not. When you plead not guilty, that drags it out. Because again, you need a defense lawyer, you need all this and all that. Yeah, okay, you have the right to a lawyer before you go and speak to the judge. Which what happens is you see a lawyer in the cell before you go up, and they'll say, look, there's tons of evidence against you. You've got to plead guilty. You're not getting out of this.
I sat in the district court for nearly a whole day, and it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Man, he processed a whole lot of cases, one by one by one. But all of them, okay, it's case number 437.
Yeah.
Michael Sherlock, did this.
Yeah.
Judge would go, yep, read your paper, seen the report. I've seen the probation officer's report. My ruling on this is we'll defer it for another day. So that's what happened. We got deferred.
That is not a police problem. That's a prosecution's problem. Not prosecution's problem. That's a magistrate's
This
problem.
is not a question for you, Michael. It's not.
No.
But it would be interesting to know what distinguishes one case to another. You know, one would have to linger on and be more evidence brought another day of, and of course we hear that these criminals are sitting out there for years waiting for a case to come up.
This is a problem with not having enough judges, not having enough maybe court itself, not having enough court people, court system.
Do you know what? I think this is a wrong question for you, taken for where you were. This is a question for the judiciary, and it'd be interesting to talk to Richard because he would have been in charge, perhaps, of all that, and plus seen it through Parliament and all those sort of things.
Judiciary, that definitely. So you could argue that a lot of stuff does get deferred because they only have a certain amount of time during the day, and some cases, if it's going to go to court that day, so what happens is pretty much is on the day, 9 o'clock, you walk in, you sit down. As a cop, you sit down in your number ones and you wait. And they'll read out, there might be 5 cases in that courtroom today. They will go, hey, prosecutions, tell us about the first one. Oh, the victim hasn't even turned up. Okay, we're just going to throw that one out today. That one's not going to work. We'll push that one. Blah, blah, blah. Second one, yeah, everybody's here. It's going to take 3 hours to go through this today. And they're like, okay, sweet. They'll find that 3 out of the 5 of them can't run because either something's missing, someone's missing, something's not there, not working. Okay, so they'll get deferred. The other 2 will go ahead.
It'd be nice if we just got these things dealt with.
Exactly.
And all that, because I mean, I could make up a myriad of excuses.
But this is again
to try and defer things.
This is the problem: is
judges,
victims not turning up.
Lawyers do it every day, and in my area of employment law, I see this. Let's just summarise, just because we'll wrap up.
Yep.
Giving gangs taxpayers money, you say, yeah, it's not a bad idea. But in
I said
circumstances...
I said it was a 50-50, depending on if they were going to use the money right.
New Zealand, it's a crime for New Zealanders to be deported from Australia, and you're saying, no, that's not fair. So, Richard, you're wrong with that one.
On a humanitarian level, no, it's not fair.
Then 3 is the Ram Raiders, fixed school truancy, and you say, no, I don't agree with that because the school should be paid just for having a role, but no one has to attend.
The school shouldn't be held accountable. It should be a harsh truancy law on the kid for not turning up itself.
So the school has nothing to do with it. All right. You're also saying that invisible patrolling of car. You disagreed with that. You're saying that that's not reasonable. Visibility in the community policing. You say that's not possible because of the administration that has to be done. Okay, then we go to neighbourhood support groups. You're saying they become nuisance to the police because they get too active?
No, not nuisance. They're not a nuisance to police. It's just that they can't. Sometimes they can get into trouble when they shouldn't be getting into trouble. Also, it's a glorified police position. Really.
Then police, middle-aged Maori woman as police officers. You say we shouldn't discriminate against any race.
Shouldn't discriminate against any race, but any middle-aged woman needs to join the police.
So there should be no emphasis on that. Should be just any middle-aged woman's a good idea in your view.
Yeah.
Okay, and bring back no-nonsense magistrates. You say it happens anyway, so don't bring it in.
Yeah, it happens. It happens on the day-to-day. That's a question for the judiciary, not for me.
Well, you and I disagreeing a lot today.
We have.
Well, folks, we want to hear from you, don't we, Michael?
Yeah.
We both want to hear from you, your views. Is Michael right or is Max right?
I'd like to talk to Richard Preble as well.
Should we bring him in?
Exactly.
Richard said he's away he's on a world thing at the moment.
World tour.
Yeah. No, he's just done a few. That's why. Anyway, One day we must talk about New York broken windows, because I think that's something that fixed things over there. And truancy is a good place to start with that. But anyway, we're going to get back to our arguments. Folks, if you've got any ideas or views, Michael, we'd like to have them back, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
we'd like to hear from you.
Tell me how I'm doing wrong, because I know that the internet loves telling me when I'm going wrong.
Max tried to tell him where he went wrong, but Michael won't hear it. But look, he's the man who was on patrol. He faced up to these things. I didn't. So in theory, I see things. Michael's been there in practice. Who should you listen to, Michael or Max?
No.
M&M.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
See you next week. And bring your questions in, folks. We love it.